trade. We had a little hiccup here. Something about a channel title. I don't know what that means, but everything looks good to me. So, so I think that we are live and kicking it, or something like that. That little Kobold Con. Yes, we are here for Kobold Con. The first virtual Kobold Con, I think. They, yeah, a little bit late, but we have arrived. Kobold Con got caught up in the pandemic like the rest of us did, and they had to go virtual, following in the wake of Gary Con there. We ran a game early, and I know they've got events going on all day today, so very, very cool. And we're doing some last-minute tinkering. Not sure what Chuck's fixing, but he is fixing something. All right. So I think this is Jim's. You're very quiet. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not sure what to do about that. More quiet than normal. What? We're being raided. Nobody can hear me. Well, I don't know what. Is that better? Did that help at all? So Mark's can hear, so maybe it's on your end, Chuck. One Red Dragon's got a problem too. I tried to mess with the volume. Did that hear? Daka can hear, so I don't know what it is. Jason's here. Jason, can you hear me? Glendor can hear me. All right, Chuck and Red Dragon. I think it's you guys. I don't know. All right, so we're rolling with it. All right, good deal. Well, we are. Yeah, I gotta evolve this thing. We still need to get the anti-glare stuff for the glasses. That's driving me crazy, and it's a little bit of fine tuning is what we got to do around here as we kind of master. Let me move this thing out of my forehead. There we go. And then I moved right into it. Well, there you have it. We will slowly master this. Thanks for the raid, Wizard of the Couch. Very, very cool. Very much appreciated. Burn it all down. Yeah, I think that raid in the old term means it's a little different now. That with the modern world, raids are a little bit more gentle than they were when the Vikings plundered all over the North Sea and wherever else they plundered. They plundered just about everywhere, I think. Very, very cool. But we are definitely here for Epi. It went very good. I had a lot of fun. That was a very crazily creative group, a lot of spell casting, and managed to avoid two pretty stout encounters without too much mayhem. Had a few river crossings to throw against them, as I usually do, but I'm a big terrain guy. I love the outdoors. But yeah, so the game went well, and Chuck showed us discovered some kind of Discord boost or Nitro or something allows us to do multiple cameras. So my biggest problem to date with running online games is I can't see the players. I like to see the players so I can kind of track, how if people are enjoying themselves or what have you, and that's solved now. On the Discord, it allows this video mess, so I can see everybody, and I think they can see me through the Twitch channel. And next time we do it, we'll actually cart the whole thing over to Twitch so that everybody's on Twitch and we're all kind of participating in that way. So I was very, very pleased. Chuck figured it out at the last moment. That's the very trollish way to do things. Wait to the last moment. We've been doing that for years and years. How's it going, Melkor? Welcome back. Thank you for the subscription tier there, Red Dragon. Much appreciated. Dub Rees Farm Wander. All right, from the game. Okay. Internet names kind of confounding me at times. But we are definitely here for GM's Tricks of the Trade 48, number 48. And for those of you new to the tricks, we've been putting these out for weeks, or every week, 5 new Tricks of the Trade every week for, 8 or 9 or 10 months. We got 200 and something of them somewhere. Tim and crew have put it up on the internet so you can access them through the Patreon account, the Patreon account, And later we're going to do a book of these things and put all these things together in this nice big, word searchable file. The nice thing about the net is it's word searchable. So if you're looking for something specifically that I may have addressed at some point, then you can kind of dive in and see what's the hatch. And if you look and there's something that's not there, give me a shout, and I may write up a whole. I know I've done a few of the tricks of the trade have been based off of people's comments in the stream here. But as always with GM Tricks of the Trade, we love to hear from you all. A lot of you guys have been gaming for a long time, and then a lot of experience under your belts, and a lot of situations that have come your way, both as a player and as a GM. And we'd love to hear how you solve problems and how you approach things, and all of that. So jump into the stream and join the conversation. Do not hesitate. And thank you all for showing up. If you have not already or aren't, please give us a follow. We sure appreciate it. And definitely head over to the Kobold Con Twitch stream and give them a follow as well. And check out the events. They've got events going on all weekend, Kobold Con Virtual. So don't be sure not to miss any of that. It's a really cool world that we're stepping into, I think, and it's a little different than some of us are used to. I think younger people, obviously, to them, it's whatever, you're online. But for us, the others of us, we're adjusting to the new economy, born literally before our very eyes. And if you ever want to watch, if you want to know how societies and cultures change and evolve, step no further than your living room, because you are living through it right now. And Kobold Con is bringing it to you, the new changing economy. I will guarantee you from this point forward that there will be virtual cons constantly, and they will, wrap the world of Twitch into them, and panels and games and Discord and all of it, RPG, fantasy RPG, or all of this stuff is going to be fantasy grounds. All of this stuff is now, it's a permanent part of our economy, our culture, and all of it, and it's absolutely fantastic. It made things and events that I would never have afforded the time or money to attend, so virtual cons are perfect. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And I know that there's a small con out of Canada, AetherCon, that's been doing the virtual con for a while, but it's a nightmare. But the interesting thing about what we're going through now, and it doesn't matter where you fall down on the shelter-in-place discussion. None of that matters. It's all moot because it happened, and we're living through it. And we watched, and Gary Con led the way on this, and Kobold Con was right there. I think Goodman did some, but you're watching the economy evolve almost immediately. We're talking, when did they put the shelters in place? 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago? So suddenly, immediately, Luke and crew had this problem. They solved it, and they took new technology. Boom, and now suddenly, people like you and me, 42 data squirrels that don't get out or can't get out, or it's not as easy to get, we can go to the con. In a year from now, I would be surprised if there's not a virtual con almost every weekend. I would honestly just be surprised. And it's cool because it's not like, the critical thing about what you're saying there, 42, is it doesn't cost a lot for the attendees, so you almost can't saturate the market. You might be able to saturate it at different times, because obviously time is important to people, but if this is the hobby that you do and this is what you're doing, it's going to be difficult to saturate the market, not anytime soon, so people are going to dive into this stuff. What con is going on this week? And it doesn't matter where you are. It could be a con in Budapest. You go, and you're in it. So you all can enjoy living through and experiencing a culture and an economy evolving immediately. And we won't even notice it, because 3 months from now, this will be so commonplace, when we're like, I don't know, maybe it happened. Was it always this way? That's how I'll be anyway. Didn't we always have virtual conventions? The interesting thing will be what happens to the actual con. That'll be the next step. We'll see if they survive. My guess is certain ones certainly will, but it might be a little bit more difficult or difficult to survive and easier to do it virtually than otherwise. So we'll see how that pans out. But Jason, I know that your sentiments are, we all need to get together around the table, and I tend to lean in your direction on that. But I have to say, the game that I played today, we did 3 hours It flew by like crazy. I could see everybody. It was the first time that that I did an online game and I could see everyone across the table from me, which it made it feel like we're together. And really, the only problem I had is mastering this hot mic. I keep my finger on it, or I don't put it on it, or something. So, comfort of running a game in a quiet room, not filled with 100 other people, but I do really miss the interaction in person and seeing all my friends and being a cosplay. Yeah, that's the downside of it. And of course, Jason's a big cosplayer, but yeah, you miss that kind of human interaction and just the whole gathering together type thing where you see each other and you're in the same space and whatnot. Though it's not a bad point. You got that talk that the noise in some of those convention halls. I enjoy it when I'm on the outside. Now inside it gets a little frustrating, but if you stand outside a convention hall for about 30 minutes, you'll hear everybody's talking. They're just gaming, and very slowly it starts to ratchet up as people try, and they're not intentionally doing it. Nobody's being rude or nobody's trying to out shout one another, but you just kind of naturally try to talk louder to the fellow next to you, and then it just and after like 30 minutes, it's like people are just yelling in there. It's really kind of funny. I've enjoyed. I'm a big people watcher, so I've always enjoyed that side of convention. Let's see. Far Wander, it was a very quick 3 hours. That was pretty amazing. Yeah, it should have been a 5-hour game. It was a lot of fun. Definitely should have been a lot longer. I do miss a personal face-to-face connection, but I could maybe get to one convention every 4 years anyway. And that's just it, DM. And a lot of people who live far away or out, it's tough. I mean, it's really, really tough. So the conventions are kind of a hope-for type thing anyway. Virtual cons will take that. We'll put it in a nice package that everybody can dive in. It takes a solid GM to balance that virtual table so that all the players have a feeling that their input is valued. 42, you're dead on, and that's actually one of the things that now that the first thing that we've struggled with for myself is the camera stuff, and I want to see who I'm playing with. I want to see the reactions to what's going on, and if someone's not kind of engaged, to engage them so they're not bored. But what I'm running into, that seems to be solved with this new Discord, whatever, Fusion or whatever it's called. The next problem I could tell in the combat that I ran, I try to run very fast combat, and I always start on my right. I go on my right, and I move. If you've read Jim's Tricks of the Trade, you know why, but I always go all the way around the table, and everybody rolls a new initiative and all this business. And I can kind of, like if I start here and this round is unfolding, I'll begin the next round. So I'll go ahead and swing. Chris, go ahead and swing. Laura, you go ahead and roll your initiative. Matt, start getting ready with what you're doing. So I'm kind of doing 3 people at once, but I'm not finding that ability yet on the virtual. I haven't figured out how to keep it flying. One reason is the cameras kept jumping around on the Discord. I think it's if someone lost camera, whatever, they went out and then it all, so I couldn't tell who was sitting where. I couldn't get any kind of order into my head, but we'll figure that out. Let's see. I do want to face table covers everything online. Steven, does COG have any aspirations to have their own virtual con day similar to Cyclops Con? Grape, yes, absolutely. We've done a lot of conventions, actually, not virtually, but we did 7 Troll Cons. In a very typical Troll Lord fashion, I think the 4th Troll Con was called Troll Con 10. That was Davis's idea. He hates order, so he wanted it all mixed up. So I'm really not sure how many Troll Cons we did. I want to say it was 7, but it might have been 5 or something. And then we did some Winter Dark Cons for Gary Gygax up at Lake Geneva, and then we did some Lake Geneva Cons. We've done about 10 or 12 conventions, regular conventions, and but that last one we did was years and years ago, and it has been a long part of our conversation to bring TrollCon back, but balancing when to do it has always been an issue, and at this point with virtual cons, it's no longer an issue. I talked to both Chuck and Tim, who are managing our virtual world. I really would like to see a small TrollCon once a quarter. That would be really cool. We just get together for Friday and Saturday, or Saturday and Sunday, or whatever, and play some games. No huge thing, no gigantic, whatever. We just kind of gather and play Castles and Crusades and Amazing Adventures and Victorious and 5th edition and whatever, and just kind of gather together. So that's sort of the plan on that. but we will see how that. Absolutely, Wizard Cap. That'd be fantastic. I know. I've talked to Chuck. We're still kind of ironing out certain things about the Twitch channel, and once that's done, the virtual TrollCon will be definitely on the docket. We will take help from anywhere where we can get it. Wizard of the Couch. That would be fantastic, and particularly for people like myself. So I have 3 children who are very competent with the internet, and I can manage it. I have to take a lot of time and kind of study it, and the publishing schedule is so insanely busy that finding time to do that is difficult. So for me, so Chuck and Tim kind of throw stuff at me and hope that I can figure it out. We will take any amount of help that we possibly can get. These online cons are super fun. Definitely helps me get through like that. Agrippa, yes, absolutely. It makes it a lot easier. There's something going on other than, man, I don't know what's up with TV, but it's not. Man, I'm fixing to watch Raising Hope again for the 900th time. I can't find anything really good. I enjoyed The Witcher. That was good. The upcoming virtual cons. Yeah, so there's a few, Agrippa. Check around. There's at least 4 or 5 more coming down the pipe. Not from Trollord, of course, but just other conventions. I know Frog God's got one cooking in May. It is May. It's May 1st, so there's something will come from that pretty soon. Absolutely, Wizards. You be careful what you ask for. We may be shouting at you. Bloodwild, we did 3 or 4 adventures for ReaperCon. We did quite a bit of support for them a few years back. We didn't last year. I'm not sure why. Ron and I think, I don't think I have his email anymore, but so, yeah, absolutely. ReaperCon's a fantastic little con. In fact, I think they're going virtual. I need to get a hold of them and make sure that anything they need from the Trolls. Reaper and Trolls go way back. Davis, one of the co-founders of Trollord Games, he is. Did they cancel the virtual con? Dungeon Master, did they cancel the virtual con? Lord of mercy. I hope not. I know they were. Oh, it is 100% virtual. Okay. All right. Yeah, I know. So Davis is my brother, and he co-founded TLG with me, Max Golden, and himself. And he and Matt Golden are the co-creators of Castles and Saves, Siege and all that stuff. But Davis, way back when we started in 02 or 01, early on, he made connections with friends with Ron over at Reaper, and they began this trade. I remember it was when the Canting Crew, Gary Gygax said the Canting Crew came out. We had a lot in the booth, and Davis came over and he said, I need I don't know what it was. It was like 22. Or 30, I need 30 Canting Crews, whatever it was. And I was like, well, did you sell them? And he goes, no, I just need them. Put them in a box. So we put them in a box, and he carted them over to Reaper. And then he came back over and said, hey, everyone in the booth can go to Reaper. And we did this big swap thing. It became insane for a while. The Reaper guys would come over and get all the books. We'd go over and get a bunch of miniatures. And it just became this great, friendship between 2 companies. So we supported ReaperCon. We do it anytime we can. Love those guys over there. So that's cool. They're going virtual. It sucks that they're being canceled, but obviously the world's turned upside down at the moment. We're all trying to figure out which direction we're facing, and we'll get a handle on it. We've already got a pretty good handle on it, but we'll get a better handle on it and move forward soon. But until then, it looks like the virtual cons are the way to go. It's okay. The world moves on. It's not going to wait for you. It's going to keep spinning around the sun. So you better learn to enjoy it, I suppose, is a big takeaway from all this stuff. But Jason, never fear. My guess is the conventions are not going away. They'll just be locked up for a little bit as we wander into the new, not a new millennium. I guess it's a new decade. Is it? Is it technically a new decade, or are we at the end of it? No, we should be at the beginning of it. I can't remember how long we believe it. But all of that craziness aside, virtual cons are thing here and going good. Kobold Con, definitely go over to Kobold Con and check all their events out. All kinds of stuff going on all weekend. Do not miss it. And we are about to dive into GM Tricks of the Trade, something 48, starting a campaign. Question: if I set up an event for Con of Champions, it gives me the option of choosing TLG organized players as type of event. Should I choose that if I'm running CNC? That's going to be, DM, that's going to be a question for Chuck, because he has set all of that stuff up over at Con of the Champions, and I know he is driving forward on the organized play as well. So we got a lot going on there, and I am kind of removed from that. So when Chuck reads that, okay, so he has answered that question. Just to let everybody know, obviously, you may not know this. Troller Games, we've been around since 2000. Mac and I founded the company with Davis in 1999, and we've been around forever and a day. We've been publishing role-playing games since those days. Third edition at first, Swords and Sorcery at first, then third edition, and Castles and Crusades, and a whole wash of stuff in between. And for me, I'm the CEO of TLG, and one of our major writers, Jason Fay, who's posting in here, is another major writer, creator of Amazing Adventures. I run the company, but I kind of run the physical things, books in the print shop, and the shipping and supplies, and managing the game content and release schedules and all of that goobly-goop. But for this, where you're viewing me now on Twitch, and then even stuff like Facebook and Twitter and all of that stuff, that is Tim's domain and Chuck's domain. They are setting this all up and pointing me in directions what to do, and then I come in and ask idiotic questions and huff and puff about stuff that I don't understand, and then they carefully explain it to me, then we move on. So that's where we are on that. It's a very nice expansion, but my understanding of the gritty of it is a little bit light. We'll just go with that. We won't call myself an idiot, but we'll go with light. All right, yeah, so before we dive in, if you have not already, please give us a follow. We surely appreciate it. And check out KoboldCon, of course, give them a follow as well. And Wizards of the Couch, they've joined us today. And Elisa Faden, very, very close tie-in with us all. Good people, good stuff. Give them a follow. And we are giving away the Player's Handbook and the Monsters and Treasures digital right now to help everybody get through the pandemic. So definitely check out www.trollo.com. And we've got so much going on. We've got a Patreon account that you can get in, and I think you can get all of the first 47 GM tricks of the trade. You have access to that with $1 a month or something crazy like that. And then World Animal, we're moving our gigantic world, the Codex of Erd, this huge 300-page monolith, onto the internet to allow you guys to dive in and play all that. So definitely check that out. But let's dive into GM's tricks of the trade before I get off on another weird-ass tangent, as I'm inclined to do. I'm sitting here bibble-babbling. Today's topic, I really don't know what got this in my head. I have no idea, but starting a campaign, it's one of the things that, it's the way I game the most. When you're running an RPG, if you're new to it, this will be kind of new to you, but if you've been playing this a while, you understand what I'm talking about. There's basically a few types of games that you play. There's one-shot games, like the game I did this afternoon at KoboldCon was 10 of us just got together, we ran a game, and the pre-generated characters, and that's it. You're done. We don't go back to it. The game is over, and then next week we do something else. Those are just generally called one-shot. Then you have what's called player paths, which are, and this is kind of, these are linear games. This what we call them the Castle Keeper's Guide. We discussed this quite a bit in the Castle Keeper's Guide. But linear games are those that are really just, you just go from event to event, and there's no real, there may be a little bit, there's not a lot of structure between, not a lot of tissue between. Player paths, these are a lot of that type of thing where you start in Adventure 1 and you gain to the second level, and Adventure 2 you gain to the fourth level, and Adventure 3 to the 6th, and so on down the line. And you're really just going from one adventure to the other. They may have directives, where in the first adventure you find something that leads you to the second one, or they may not. It may just be, you're going to do this one, and now you're going to do this one, and now you're going to do this one. And that's a really cool way to play. But the open-ended adventures, which is what we're just discussing today, what I generally call, and I think the community calls, so I'm not going to quote the community on that, campaign-style games, are those in which they're going to include one-shot, they're going to include linear, they're going to include everything. But it's basically you're beginning at a lower level. It doesn't have to. You can start at any level you want, but the concept behind it is that there's this gigantic story arc that your players and their characters are going on. They start at low level, and they are going to, go to second, third, fourth level through the series of adventures that are somehow kind of combined together. That you just play it. This is the campaign, and these frequently involve giant epic themes like tossing the ring into the volcano, or putting the wizard, hiding the wizard into the gem and carrying him across the world so he can fight the dragon. That was the plot of Dragon Slayer. Or any number of the movies that we've seen. These are kind of what you're looking at. It's this epic, perfect word there, 42. It's this epic adventure, this epic tale that the characters are on. These games can last for 5 sessions or years. I've run a lot of campaigns, most fizzled out, but I've run one. We began one in '84, and we still kind of run it today. About once a year, we'll play it. We call that the big game in our little neck of the world. But it really stopped. Man, I'd have to ask Todd. Todd keeps a better track of it, but probably 2002, 2001. The characters have gotten like 25th level or something. It was an AD&D game, and it kind of ended, maybe a little bit after that. And then interestingly, I think it's either my first or second Castles and Crusades game has evolved into another large campaign. We're still running it today. They're about 14th level. Now, we don't run it every week. We do a weekly game Thursday. We mostly play mine, but everybody, Todd GM for a long period, Chris ran it for forever a day. He did Traveler, I think. We ran some Traveler under Chris or something. Mac did he did this hybrid game. He took chunks of Siege, some of Amazing Adventures, some of Victorious, some of C&C, and some of whatever was wedged into his head and created his own that he calls a multi-genre game. So we did that a lot. But overall, in the past 13 or 14 years, we've been running. Is that right? 2006 is when we started? Yeah. And we've been running kind of one campaign. And that's the campaign. That is the campaign that we're on. And that's what I'm talking about today frequently, and I slide into this. I try not to, but on the GM's Tricks of the Trade, if you've read a lot of them, you'll notice that a lot of them, they kind of lean towards campaign-oriented commentary. It's not really, a lot of it can be used in one-shots and linears, but it's not really built for, it is built for that, but it's more built for campaigns than if you're running the same characters and the same players through this epic adventure that carries you all over the top. So the first thing, so that's kind of the background for what a campaign is, or what I should say, what I'm talking about when I'm babbling here about campaigns. And the first thing the first trick of the trade tonight was what we call the director's cut. You've all seen movies that you go to the theater and you watch it, and they're good, they're cool, whatever, and then they do the DVD of the theatrical release or whatever, the director's cut. I guess the theatrical release is what we see, and then the director's cut is what we pay extra to see, and then when you watch it, the movie suddenly makes more sense. Weird plot devices now make sense, and the plot doesn't have so many holes in it because the director's vision is actually now presented to you in this manner. And this is what I'm talking about in the first one is don't give them the theatrics. Don't rush towards your epic thing. Don't barrel through. I'm supposed to ask you where the TP. Are you talking? The tip number one. That is the cover for Fantastic Adventure. What you're looking at there is one of 3 adventures that was published at PLD's launch. It was written by Max Golden. It's a really cool little self-contained adventure, and that cover was made by Jason Walton back in 2000. And what's really cool about it, Jason sent over, and I don't think Max, he was running the company in those days. I don't think he commissioned that. I'd have to get confirmation from him. But he purchased that from Jason, and then he created a Fantastic Adventure based on that cover, which is really kind of cool. Love Jason Walton's work, fantastic stuff. But what I'm talking about, the question answered, but onto the director's cut. So the idea is don't rush it. You've got this epic thing that you want them to achieve. The hard thing is for GMs, especially and almost any game that you run, you've already envisioned this road that the players are on. You've envisioned all of these things that are going to happen in these encounters. and it's this epic story that you play down in your head. The only thing that you don't know is how the details are going to play out, how the players are going to react, and what they're going to cause, what they're going to change. But the big picture you've already kind of mapped down in your head. You've written it down in notes. You're super excited about it. You're all over the place, and you just want to get to it. You want to get past the low-level stuff and get into, the long journey across the continent to throw the ring in or whatever it is. And the thing there, and if you do that, if you rush that too much, then you're going to end up cutting out things that are really vital to the overall arching campaign. You're going to miss tons and tons of stuff. And it's what I'm talking about here. Don't go for the theatrical cut. Go for the director's cut. Take it a little bit slow. Don't hit them with the epic things up front. Don't start revealing stuff to them at first level that they really shouldn't know till third or seventh level or whatever level it is. Just keep everything kind of low key. It's like the introduction of a book. It's sort of like, I think that is the best example of this. Now, it's not going to equate right into the RPG mechanics world, but when you read The Lord of the Rings, that first, is it 60 pages? It's like 40 pages or something. That's the birthday party. If you're just reading it for the first time and you enjoy Tolkien, then you love it. It's just awesome. But about the third or fourth time you're reading The Lord of the Rings, getting through that birthday party is kind of tough. Just because there's nothing really huge going on. We're introducing characters, and there's a little bit of tension, there's a little bit of this, but not a lot. But that's the stuff that you don't want to get. If you don't have that in the story, Lord of the Rings isn't going to make as nearly as much sense when you're dealing with the characters. So go with the director's cut. Don't cut a bunch of stuff out in your excitement to get. It is very dry at the beginning. And don't cut a lot of the smaller stuff out. And by this, and we'll get into this more in a minute. Don't cut the smaller stuff out to immediately railroad them into the wizard. So, for instance, the first level characters really shouldn't be meeting, a 15th level warlord that's going to play into it later. They shouldn't be. I think I used the demon lord as an example. They shouldn't be meeting a demon lord in the beginning. That comes later. And, build the story. Take your time. Slow the game down. Understand that the first 6 games that you're running won't have hardly anything to do with the epic thing that you kind of developed into your thing. And part of the problem is if you do this, if you rush it too fast, they may switch characters, they may get killed, and it derails your whole game. And then you use up this great, these great concepts have already been used now, and you can't use them again, or the game gets erased. So if for some reason, and many of them do, campaigns just kind of fizzle out, and when they do, they're going to do it in the first 3 levels, usually. And if you've used up your epic things, then you can't use them again. But if you slowly kind of bleed this stuff in and use it as background, as an echo somewhere that they hear about the demon lord or the warlord or whatever, then but have it nothing to do with the party, then it's just a little bit slower going. And that actually brings us right into GM tricks of the trade. Now, focus on the director's cut. Tell the whole story. Don't skip it. But be flexible. All right, I've forgotten now how to fix my. There we go. What have we got? A bunch of dead characters here. So be flexible in your approach to it. And this is sort of what I kind of hinted at a moment ago. When you're running these games, if you've got this epic thing going on, and you already begun to spun the tail out, and you're fired up into this, and then a couple of characters get killed, you now run the risk of the whole thing becoming derailed, simply because these characters have now already got they're weak to begin with because they're just first level, but they're vested, right? They're vested in the game, in the epic story that you're trying to tell, that you're trying to have them tell. Really, is the way it goes. And they just got killed and they're out, and it may upset them to the point that they can't get back into the game. It may discombobulate the party. I think the best example of this, and it was through nobody's fault, my fault really. Mac was running the game. It was one of the best games he's ever run that I sat in. I was playing a paladin, and Chris was playing. I can't remember. I think we were brothers. We were AD&D, and we were brothers. My paladin. Well, Chris and I did this great role playing. We did this kind of a lot of in-tandem role-playing, a lot of stuff that we did together as characters, and it worked really, really well. And about 8 or 10 games into it, I was third level, I think, second level, my character's name was Dunbar, and he got killed, which is okay. I don't mind dying. I really don't. But what it did, and there was no way we could plan for this, what it did was it derailed Chris's character because he and I had kind of built so much on top, in tandem with each other, that he was a little bit lost of what to do with his character. And then I brought in another character. It just didn't work. I tried to kind of fire that, it didn't work, and the whole thing just kind of spun out. We played it for a while afterwards, but it lost just enough of its flavor, I think, that it didn't keep us all fired up. So this is one of the reasons. Now that actually is not a great example because Max had nothing to do with it. The running of the game had nothing to do with it. It was really just the way it played out, the way Chris and I kind of built it. But if you take that situation and kind of extrapolate out that you built this game around it, you put all of these thematic elements into it, these characters are vested, one of them gets killed, and now you're done, it's tougher to save it because the other players may back out, or the one that got killed doesn't really want to, he can't get back into it, or she can't get back into it. It's easier when they're 5th level. It's harder to kill them, and it's easier to bring them back. There's more magic, there's more wealth, there's more everything involved, so that you can more realistically bring a character who's 5th, 6th, 10th level back than you can when they're first. Who wants to spend, 20,000 gold pieces to bring back a 1st level magic user? Nobody wants to do that. And you don't even have access to the gold generally, so it's best to be flexible, not give too much out when you're running these low level games. Make it so that characters can come in and out, whether the player is going to abandon them or whether they get killed or whether they just want to switch and do something a little different. Allow for flexibility in the opening segments of your game. Now, once they start getting above that 3rd level, I discourage it. Discourage switching characters. Like I said, killing them is one thing because you can bring them back a little easier. But switching a character mid-stride at 6th level can be rough on a game. So that should be discouraged. Better than to create background or role playing to try to salvage that situation. Before we dive into number 3, just to throw back out there to anyone who's new, who's joining us, if you have any comments or questions or observations on what we're talking about, please throw it in the feed here, and we'll love to dissect whatever thoughts that you guys have. I know that I don't know how common campaigns are. I know that adventure packs are probably more common than campaigns are. One shots, of course, all over the place. We all do those. Conventions are one shots, and a lot of times you just sit down and play, a module at home, and you're running it. So the one shots are all over the place. But I really don't know how many people sit down and kind of try to create a campaign arc that's going to last, 30, 40 games, or 3 or 4 years, or whatever it is. And honestly, on mine, I don't usually have an end game. I usually don't begin, and I'm going to do a second part to this starting campaigns. I don't put any epic stuff in the very beginning, just because I know that people are going to lose their players. They're going to lose interest, and they're going to, I didn't really want to play this. I want to play something else, so you can switch it up fairly quickly. But epic stuff for me comes in later, because anytime I sit down to play, like the Thursday night game, a little different at conventions. Anytime I sit down to play, I have in mind that I want these people to survive their lives, to adventure for 20, 25 years and build. Because the nice thing for me as a GM, and this is probably the reason I like campaigns the best, is the players are going to get into their characters, and they're going to play, and they're going to build worlds around their characters, and they're going to force you to think in different directions, and they're going to force you to create stuff that you may not have thought of, and it develops the world around you whether you want it to or not, and it's going to develop its directions that you maybe hadn't thought of. So it's refreshing, and it's surprising, and it's just a really kind of, you can push the whole collaborative thing, but it's kind of a collaborative approach to running a game. So for me, campaigns are really the route to go. Yeah, for a wonder, I'm the same way. I really like it to last. And even if it goes 4 levels, if you play for 6 months and they all die, that's okay. I would prefer to do that than linear, and I prefer it to be kind of open so that games don't necessarily have to connect to one another, but it's the same players on an adventure pack. First time for me here, I'm looking to start making a campaign based off a series I have been reading called The Dwarves. I haven't heard of that, Jankster. There was, way back in the 80s, a couple of books put out that were really good, and it was kind of a take on Moria. I can't remember who wrote that. They were a lot of fun. But that sounds cool, and that's a great way. I do that all the time. You read something and you find inspiration in it, and you use it. That becomes, the blueprint for you going forward. And of course, as you know, in any kind of role-playing game, it's going to change. Or maybe you don't know, but if you're new to the hobby itself, it's going to change. It's going to change quick because these players are going to do stuff that you never anticipated, and that's cool. But it's just, absolutely. I absolutely love Grot from anywhere. I've checked that out though. I have been in both. I prefer campaigns. The West March went set correctly is really fun to balance between master story and one type of game. That's kind of the interesting. We're going to get to that here in a few minutes, but balancing the one shots compared to the campaigns in the linear, because you don't necessarily, when you're running a campaign, have to abandon one style for the next. Blah blah blah. The guy that wrote The Dwarves also wrote a series of the Orcs and even, I think, on the Elves, but I'm not sure if they're all in the same way. Oh, no, that's interesting, Jason. I'm really going to have to check that out. Okay, so Jankster says, yes, that is the one. Marcus Heights wrote it. Okay, all right. I guess that was a comment. Yes, I see 42. You had already answered that question. I was a little confused there. All right. And long campaigns don't necessarily have to be high level. You can sit down low-level characters for a long time as long as the challenges are fair. Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the reasons that I do experience points. I'm a little bit stingy. I do it so infrequently that my players are frequently saying, "Hey, we need experience points," and because I don't track it like I used to. But I'm slow with experience points because I love any day of the week. I would prefer running first through third level. If you ask me, what do you want to run, first through third, it's going to be where it is, because there's a heightened sense of danger. So yeah, absolutely, the campaigns, and that's the key to it. I average in the game we're running now, I mean, you can count it. We've been running it since 06 for 14 years, and they are right at 14th and 15th level. So we play every Thursday. If you take out other GMs and other games, we're probably doing it 6 months a year, and it's taking them roughly a year to gain a level, no matter what level they are. So we end up having, 50 to 60 games that are still first level games. You can do that. You should do that. Far Wander, I think, it's a great point. Stretch it out. Just stretch it out, because one, for you, and there's a lot of this in the tricks of the trade, for you as a GM, it allows the players to create this network of NPCs and this network of encounters and this knowledge of terrain and situations and the politics that you so desperately want to be part of your game and the society and the culture. It allows them to kind of cultivate all of that slowly, develop their characters in it without, knocking the whole apple cart over. So it's just going slow experience point progression. I should really do, again, tricks to trade on experience point progression. That's a great idea. Going slow is really the way to go. I've tried a few campaigns where we accelerate it, and it's okay. It's not bad. It's cool for players to get powers quickly. That is kind of cool. But here I'm going to go out of my. I'm going to do what I'm told that I'm supposed to be doing, but I never do. I'm going to push CNC just a little bit. In Castles and Crusades, it's one of the nice things because it's not skill-based and it's not feat-based and it's not anything like that based. It's imagination-based. Those abilities that you hunger for in other games, you really already have in Castles and Crusades. You can swim a river, climb a wall, you can do all this kind of stuff. You just have to make an attribute check for it. Pack of dogs outside. You got to make an attribute check for it. So now it's a little tiny bit more complicated than that. Technically, you can't climb a wall unless you're a rogue or a ranger, but anyway, that's a technicality. You can try to climb the wall. So that's kind of that whole that approach that allows you to kind of do anything you want, which means as a low-level character, you're not so hungry to get to the next level. You certainly want to get more hit points and whatnot, but you're not that hungry because you're not looking at goalposts where my character's going to be this much better. Really, your imagination is the end of it. The Cruff Hill dogs are exactly. We got 3 dogs here, one half hound, I don't know what it is, and then a Australian Shepherd and this tiny little, I don't know what it is, Pomeranian mixed with something. And that dog's voice is screechy it's just crazy. And put your ears out. And that was her running. What she really does is she runs out and so gets excited and the other dogs chase her and then she goes and takes their bones or whatever because she's a little bit smarter than the others. So she's kind of figured that stuff out. But there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, thank you for hanging out. We still got a ways to go. So let's dive into number 3. And this is my favorite part. And this is the hardest part. It's the most frustrating part as a GM if you're running campaigns. Oh, we got some Wizard of Oz going there. So tease them with the epic. Now, what I mean by this is, so you're running first level and second level and third and whatever. Always in the background. Not always, but frequently in the background. Maybe every 3 games, maybe every 4 games. That epic theme that you sat down to commence, to play, should be mentioned in some very vague, out of the way, non-enticing. You don't want to entice the characters to go investigate. Just some kind of part of the game that you're actually running. You just mention it. And I'm going to use an example. This is probably one of the most, I don't want to give too much away because it's part of the published book that we've done. But in the game I'm running now, when they were third level is when I first began mentioning it. They were in town and they heard about the Green Wizard who dwelled in the, who lived in the southern part of the Darkenfall, and he was a slaver, and this was a problem because one of the characters was, as a child, a slave and escaped and did all this stuff, and there was this, so he has this rabid hatred of, slavery of any type, and so I just kind of mentioned that, and it kind of noodled into their brain, but it's way on the other side of the forest. They're not going to be any part of that. They're not going to be there soon, so they got to go on their own adventure. And I can't remember now, but how it would happen. They were talking to Otto the innkeep, I know, at one point, and someone had been killed, and it was a spy working for this guy named the Green Wizard. It was just that was all of it. That was just part of a role-playing session, and I just bled this into the game, and I bled this into the game for about 4 years. It was really kind of cool. And I keep in mind that we do break off a little bit, play a little bit different games, but it was just this kind of background noise. And I remember about maybe 5th or 6th level, they got kind of fired up. I enticed them too much, and they went down there and they got defeated and had to flee. They wanted to find out what the Green Wizard was, and some of his minions killed them, and then they scattered. I mean, they retreated back from it, knowing that they couldn't take them later. But that actually created this need amongst them, especially Max, to kill these guys and to root the wizard out. But it just became, and this is what I recommended, the teasing them, it just became this part of the adventure, part of the adventuring terrain. NPCs would occasionally mention it. It was part of conversation. They might fight someone that knew the Green Wizard's X-Men or what have you. And so it just kind of bled it slowly into the thing. And that's what I'm talking about on the teasing them. And this kind of ties closely into the director's cut. You don't want to, this is the whole story. And that whole story is, when you are young, you do hear that Frodo heard, he knew that Bilbo had the ring, right? But he never in his wildest imaginings thought that he was going to be the guy. I guess he didn't. I guess Smeagol did that. But he was the guy throwing the ring into Mount Doom. But he knew of it. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Take your theme, tuck it away, hold on to it, and bleed it out slowly. It's insanely hard to do because, and especially like with that Green Wizard, I had so much stuff built up around him. There was a whole, red herring built into it. There was some bait and switch that I had going on. It was just all of this stuff going on that I couldn't do anything with. And the notes just got tucked away. And that's what I'm talking about with the teasing them. And it doesn't matter if you're running it for 10 years or 1 year. None of that matters. If your level advancement is pretty fast, that's fine. If that's the style of game you want to play, do it. Just kind of bleed that in when you're giving them. I think some people will do like a level a game. I'm going to play one Thursday night, we're first level. Next Thursday night, we're second level. And that's great. If that's the way you want to do it, that's our second level. What did I say? Third? I don't know. That's a fantastic way to play if that's how you want to do it. But just use that to bleed the epic theme into the story that you're spinning. And after a while, about the fourth or fifth time you mention it, even those players who don't really pay attention to what you're saying, they really just want to kill the monsters that you put out there, they're going to start thinking in their head, okay, there's something going on here, and then you can kind of unleash it. I'd be tempted to even take it a step further and not even introduce the big major villain at the beginning. Absolutely, Jason, that's a great idea. That's like, with the Green Wizard, they had to have been second or third level before they even heard about it. Because there was no reason for them to. We went through quite a few, in the game we're running now, we went through quite a few characters. I mean, there's a few deaths before everyone kind of settled into the characters that they are now. Davis had a dwarf on a bear. I can't remember. There was a bunch of stuff got killed. So that stuff kind of laid back. And honestly, I can't remember. I don't think that I really even had the Green Wizard set. I had this kind of idea that I wanted to do with the August in the Darkenfold. So the Green Wizard may have been an organic part of that kind of grew out of it. But let's see. Yeah, it's a very good idea. Thanks, Moondog. Appreciate it. Apparently, I've got lots of them because I can drone on all day. So. Let's see. I've been running an Age of Conan game for about 3 years, and the players still don't know who's behind. That's fantastic. See, now that's cool because what you've done, and we're going to get into the Jerusalem, the next trick of the trade. What you've done is you've created this entire fabric that the characters now are a part of, and the game hasn't really even begun. And that's what's really, really, really cool. Because when it does hop at them and they start to figuring it out, and there's going to be a moment, this watershed moment, where all of this stuff starts coming together. Both stuff that you planned and both stuff that their reactions kind of induced you to do, that it's going to all come together. The payoff is fantastic. The sad thing is, you don't get to do it often because it takes you 3 years to get there. So, and this last game that when we started at about 07 or 08, I said, guys, we're approaching our 50s, so we're getting to that mortality rate where we can't run a 20-year game, or we're all going to be dead. So, you got to balance it, I guess. A long time ago, I was in a campaign that lasted 2 years. We met the big bad around season 4. It was a year and a half where we actually confronted him. Man, it was epic. We were 9th level. It was slow crawl, but so rewarding. That's just it, Far Wanderer. That's it right there. The payoff is always great if you play the campaigns. And we're going to get into kind of next trick here, how to kind of string them together. When you play these campaigns, once, if you've husbanded your material, you've kept your themes and your plots kind of controlled and not bled too much out of it, not pushed too much on the player so that they're overwhelmed with this gigantic epic moment at first and second level. But that's another thing I didn't even touch on earlier. If you dump too much in the very beginning, you're going to have players that, we're first level, I can't fight the Demon Lord. So they're just going to put it on their head and not pay much attention to it. So all of that's avoided, and you've built this nice crescendo of suspense and this whole thing with your game that once you get to it, the payoff is amazing. And again, you've got to set the tone of speed of your game. I mean, if you wanted to gain levels faster, that's fantastic. I tend to prefer slightly slower. I tried actually when we started this one to speed things up a little bit. It just didn't work. It just wasn't in me. So that kind of spun out when I was doing that. I'm just too stingy with experience points. And it's not even that, because I don't even, like in the olden times, I used to really, 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 man, if you killed an orc, you got the percentage experience points of that orc compared to your damage. So if you did 4 points of damage to it, and it had 8 hit points, you got half of the experience points. If you died, you got none. So XP progression, level progression in my old games back in the 80s was agonizingly slow. But again, the payoff was great. Once they made it, everybody's super excited. So let's wander into trick of the trade number 4. So this one I call Jerusalem kind of reluctantly. I know Jerusalem is a very important city, and it's a religious city, and it has many, many religious connotations to it for many, many people of many faiths, and that's fantastic and wonderful. But for my purposes, the reason that I used it here, I'm going with gold in my next campaign. I think it would be easy to track and control for leveling it versus XP. Oh, no, that's interesting. That's an interesting approach to it. And I like different directions. When you take, and that'll be a different, approach that the players are going to have to adjust to, too, which will actually kind of freshen things up. That's a great idea. Jerusalem is a great song by Bruce Dickinson from his Chemical Wedding album. There you go. Well, I'm not talking about Mr. Dickinson here, but so if you've seen the movie Kingdom of Heaven, there's this, and this is spoilers. Kill your sound if you haven't. There's a scene where two of the major characters, Saladin, who of course is Lord of the Muslim forces, and Balian, both who are actually historical figures. Obviously, we know Saladin is, but Balian is also a historical figure. They have a conversation, and at one point, Balian says, "What is Jerusalem worth?" And Saladin says, "Nothing." And then, and what Balian is thinking about, it's just a city, it's just stones, it's just, whatever, it's just stone and dirt. And then as Saladin is walking away, he turns and he says, "Everything." And it's this amazing moment. It's a beautiful piece of cinematography, and it really captures, it captures so much in the human experience that that I just absolutely love it. Okay, well, I missed a question here. So before I dive into Jerusalem, snagged a missed question by James209. Any tips on running a campaign where you give people pre-made characters? I'll get into that in just a second. That'll actually be part of next week's discussion, because I'm going to do a part 2 on campaign. Kingdom of Heaven is amazing. I love it. Yeah, if it's Ridley Scott, I'm watching it. And his brother too. Though I think he tragically died of suicide not long ago. His brother did some fantastic films too. But Ridley Scott is he's the director to watch. His level of detail and his storytelling is, personally, I think it's unmatched. There's other fantastic directors out there, but Ridley Scott's the man. Plus, he does the epic stuff that I really like. That kind of hits home with me. He's got a lot of trebuchets in Kingdom of Heaven without a doubt. So what I'm talking about on this, it means nothing and it means everything. These are those adventures. This is the flesh that I was talking about earlier in your campaign. You don't want to rush your epic things. You don't want to dump everything on them in the beginning, and you want to be flexible, and you want to tease them. All of this plays out in the types of games you're going to run at your table each week or every day or every weekend or whenever it is you sit down. And the nice thing is here, this is where it all kind of comes together. You can do one-shots, and you can do linear adventures, or you can do mini campaigns inside a campaign. I've done them all where just, they meet on Thursday. They were doing X, Y, and Z last week. They, rescue the princess or whatever it is that you want. And then this week, all it is guarding the caravan until it gets from point A to point B. That's it. The adventure's over. And you continue on with the campaign next week. And that little adventure had nothing to do whatsoever with the epic plans that you have, with the themes, with the plot that is coming out. It's just a self-contained thing. It means absolutely nothing to your overall story, but it actually means everything. And the same thing if you want to do a linear one where you've got 3 or 4 adventures kind of strung together, that are stuck together. They go from point A to point B to point C to point D, and each one of them are part of it. Again, you can put that in your campaign. It doesn't have to have anything to do with anything that you have planned. It's just an adventure arc. Both of these are well served with published modules or things you get off of what's the Dungeons and Dragons, the Wizards of the Coast Guild, the DM's Guild, is that what it's called? Things you get off of the DM's Guild or what have you. These are just a great way to just have an adventure and go. And the reason that I say it means nothing is because it has no meaning to your overall campaign, and you don't want it to. You don't want to bring out your things. You may have that, what we talked about earlier, teasing them, that's fine, but you don't want these adventures to be a part of that epic thing. It's just an adventure. So it doesn't have any meaning, whether it's linear or one-shot. But the reason that it means everything is this is the flesh of your campaign. All of that art stuff that you're planning, all of that epic moment that you see envisioned when there's encounters with the dark god or whatever it is, all of that stuff is here in column B. The players aren't part of that until they're part of it. So until then, they're playing through the series of adventures, these life and death escapades, and developing their character in a world that you've imagined, and what's more important, they are changing that world as they interact with it. And their characters grow through your creation, and your creation grows through their creation, and the whole thing just becomes kind of this organic mess of, algae, that, like the monster you guys fought in today's game. And it grows, and that's why it's everything. And even more than that, it gives you a host of NPCs that the players have encountered and are interacting with. And you may not use that NPC again for 10 games or 20 games. But now they've got, the players have got 50, 60, 100 NPCs scattered all over the place that they've encountered. You've got 100 odd, however many NPCs it is, conduits of information to give the players, all kinds of stuff. It's just really these little adventures. Do a lot of them. Don't tie them to your game, and just make it the flesh. It really kind of makes it's everything to it, because it's this stuff that's going to fire. Not even fire. That's not the right word. It's this stuff that's going to give the players more time to develop their characters, and give them depth. So by the time your huge epic themes are rolling in, and it really begins to kind of unfold the whole epic adventure that they are on, they've already got enough invested in their characters, and enough information, and enough contacts, and enough all of those things that we all need in life to survive, to deal with what's coming. And it really makes everything that much better. So, and that's exactly what I'm talking about with Jerusalem. It means it means nothing, but it means absolutely everything. Blazing Ice, thank you for the host, very much appreciated, and thank you for the follow, Agrippa, very, very much appreciated. And if any of you are out there have not followed us, please take a moment and do so. We're kind of new to Twitch, and we're building the channel here, and appreciate all the support we do. Look for an early Ridley Scott movie. Wait a minute, there's one before that. Trebuchets with a Win. I love his documentaries on the origin of humans and the aliens that feed on us. I haven't seen those, Knucklehead. I'm going to have to check that out. Is that on Netflix or Hulu or somewhere I can get it, maybe on YouTube? Holy Christmas, I'll have to check that stuff out. I'm a huge Ridley Scott fan. I don't know how I missed it. Look for an early Ridley Scott movie called The Duelist, based on Joseph Conrad novel by Napoleonic cavalryman. Man, is that a good movie, Willie. That is a fantastic movie, and it's really grounded. It's really... there's nothing in it that you're going, well, it's really almost any Ridley Scott movie you don't think, oh, that could never happen. But The Duel is, I don't know, it's like 70s, maybe early 80s. It's a good movie, very, very good movie. And it's got Harvey Keitel. I think Harvey Keitel is in that, I think. Man, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Well, we almost fought almost to the death. Oh, I think I missed some. There you go. That was his first film, and I surprisingly haven't seen that one. I own most of the historically set movies. Gladiator is not on. I love Gladiator. I will have to pick that one up online. Yeah, Gladiator was a fantastic movie. You will not be disappointed. One of my all-time favorite movies. Yeah, definitely check out The Duelist. It's been forever and a day since I've seen it. Yeah, man, I could talk Ridley Scott. I just love Ridley Scott. And I think really it's his attention to detail that captures me, and he doesn't miss anything. His shots aren't. There's nothing beyond. There's nothing you can look at in a Ridley Scott movie that is misplaced. His attention to detail is amazing. Now, did he or his brother do Black Hawk Down? I think he did Black Hawk Down. That was a fantastic movie. Shadows and Dust. Is that another one that I have not heard? Or is that the documentaries? I'm gonna have to check these documentaries out. I'm huge. I see if I can quickly. I don't know if this is gonna work. I'm gonna twist my camera just a little bit so you can see. If this is gonna work. Yeah, I want to believe. So I'm a huge Alien fan. I love the idea. I don't know that I believe there's little green men occupying our planet and having, doppelganger dress up, but I sure want to. So, I want to believe something fiercely. And so I'm gonna have to track these alien documentaries down. Years ago, when we were on vacation way out in the West, and we were heading to, the family was heading to Colorado, I think, and we were in Texas or New Mexico, I don't know, somewhere. Half the kids were asleep, two-thirds of the kids asleep, and something went wrong in the hotel, and we had an extra day, and Kathy said, well, where do you want to go? And I said, I don't really care, and she said, well, let me find where our Marriott points will give us a free hotel, and she found one, kind of close, but then she said, well, there's one in Roswell, and I was like, Roswell? And so we were 8 hours away from Roswell, and she was like, we're not driving to Roswell, that's insane, that's 8 hours out of the way, which means 16 hours driving to get back where we're supposed to be to go on to Colorado, and I got so excited, she said, well, let's put it to I said, let's put it to a vote, and I turned around, and my youngest, who was like 8 at the time, was the only one awake. So I said, all right, who does not want to go to Roswell? And my wife, Kathy, said, I don't want to. So she voted against it. And then I turned around and said, okay, who in the back wants to go see Aliens? And my 8-year-old son was like, yeah, I want to go see Aliens. So off to Roswell we went. So we spent the weekend, or 2 or 3 days in Roswell. It was an absolute, I loved it. I'm a huge Alien fan. So anytime I can find anything that will vaguely convince me that there's aliens out there, I'm all over it. So I'm going to have to track that down without a doubt. We've been back twice, I think, now. I think now when I get to retirement age, I'm just going to move to Roswell and hang out. People there are so friendly. My wife actually said maybe they are kind of aliens because they're so crazy friendly. Great place to be. If you haven't ever gone, go to Roswell. Stopped off the Alien Museum on our way to Colorado. It was fun and interesting. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's really not a lot in Roswell. It's like an alien museum and about 3 shops. And then there's just odd things, weird stuff all over town. But there's an alien festival every June. I'm sure it's going to be canceled this year, or is it July? Whatever. It's every summer. I've been meaning to go for years. But one of these days I'm going to get out there. But yeah, absolutely. Road trip and a trip. Absolutely. It's cool. And the people are friendly. New Mexico is beautiful. Yeah, always loving it. All right, so, we still got one. That's it. Okay, so we're going to be doing a raid here soon. We still got a little bit to go, 25 minutes to go, but we're going to be raiding the Reaper's Twitch channel at the end of this. So once we're done, if you could hang out for a few minutes, Chuck's going to use his magic and swoop us all over to Reaper's channel, and we're going to harangue the Reaper's guys for a few minutes. Reaper, of course, is the premier miniature making company. We love those guys. All right, so let's wander into our 5th trick of the trade. I think we covered it. It's everything and it's nothing. Pretty good. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. Do not be. Man, I thought that was Shaggy. That's not Shaggy. That's just a guy in a green shirt with with brown hair. We gave Chuck like 20 minutes to make these panels today. He had 0 time to put this stuff together. So we didn't get Shaggy. We were shooting for Shaggy, but we didn't get him. Well, he's got the green shirt, right? But there you go. All right, so the last one is, and this is the hard one. So you've created this huge epic theme and all of these plots, and you're so fired up, and you want to dive into this thing like crazy, and you want these characters to be 5th and 10th level so they can get onto the good stuff. But it just fizzles out. Characters get killed. Your game gets waylaid, or it just doesn't work. Absolutely do not be discouraged. Do not let this knock the wind out of you. It has happened to me countless times. I cannot count the number of times. Mac usually is the guy who fires me up to do all kinds of stuff. And Mac would be like, let's start a new game. Let's get it going now. I got this great idea for a character. And then I'd cook up something and we'd start playing, and then 2 games into it, I don't want to play this character anymore. So the game would come fizzling off. Or he would get killed and couldn't find him, or Todd would get killed, or what have you, and the game just fizzled out. So it's much like anything that's disappointing in life. You just got to roll with it, right? And it's done. There's nothing you can do about it. It didn't work. Pick up the pieces, move on. It's really, you got to carry that philosophy over into the game. It reminds me of the funniest job I've ever lost, and it might be the only time I was fired. I got to work at this movie theater. I had a ponytail at the time. I got to work at this movie theater. It was a fantastic job. I mean, it was just cool. I don't know. It was just really cool. You're watching all these movies, eating popcorn, drinking Coke, the whole thing, right? All of it. And the only caveat was the manager, when she hired me, she told me that the lady who owned the theater was adamantly against ponytails on men. She was just against it. So any time that the owner would come in, I was to hop. I was to scatter and just go somewhere. And so I did. I worked there for about 3 weeks. And I remember once, I guess I didn't get word, but I was in the closet, whatever, the utility closet with a mop, so I was wringing out a mop. And the door opened, and I turned around, and there was this older lady in her 60s probably, like Southern women are done, her hair all, the hairspray all done up, and makeup, and big jewelry, and she just stared at me. And I tried to tell her that this isn't the theater. Where are you going? And she just looked at me and she pointed and she said, "You're fired." I was like, I got caught, son of a... And I knew who it was, because I had never seen her, because they always told me to hide when she came to the theater. It was so funny. It's very disappointing, but it's much like anything else in life. you just got to get over it and you move on. So when your epic campaign fizzles out, when you've lost the whatever, you just put it in the quiver of failed ideas and move on, because it's all you can do. And this is kind of the nice thing, if you've kind of husbanded your ideas. Jason mentioned earlier that he's 3 years into his game and he hasn't even revealed the big bad guy yet. So if his campaign fizzles tomorrow, he's still got that big bad guy that he can pull out and use again. And that's kind of the nice thing about bringing it slowly to the table, because if it does fizzle out, you don't lose everything that you put into it. You can take these ideas and bring them to the next campaign, and kind of salvage what you end up. But even if you can't, don't get discouraged. Go back to the writer's block and have at it again. Now, almost guaranteed your players are going to want you to do it. And even if it's their fault that got it destroyed, or your fault that got it destroyed, or nobody's fault at all, to quote one of my favorite John Wayne movies, your fault, your fault, my fault, nobody's fault at all. Don't get discouraged. Just chalk it up if something didn't work and dive right back in. Let's see, I think I had a question in there. Do you have any tips for trying to keep players alive? That's a fantastic question. That really is. And at first level, I don't work so very hard at doing it. Once they cross that first threshold, second level, I start taking a little bit of pains to keep them alive. Not a lot. By the third level, I don't. It's not that players won't die, but I don't particularly want them to die, and because it really can. Killing a character. We've talked about this before in the Insurgent, but killing a character, as cool as it might sound that you do the TPK or whatever, you're really wrecking games. And not just your player's game, you're wrecking your own game. Because if you're 10 games into this thing and you kill somebody and now this player has to bring in a new character, they've got to redo all of this stuff. Not only do they have a problem playing because they don't have any of this background information that was learned in these 10 games, but they now have to create a new mythos that allows them to kind of mesh with these other players. So killing characters is something I try not to do. I don't actively do it. And really, once you get beyond third and fourth level, it's actually extremely challenging. It's where setting your encounters is tough. It's where, and you've got to do it in such a, you don't want to make everything soft, right? You don't want to softball them because they're going to figure that out very, very fast. But probably one of the things, this is where, and I talk about this a lot in Game Tricks of the Trade, probably my biggest tool to keep characters alive is their equipment. And it's not going to be what you're thinking. It's not the armor class that they give them or the damage that they deal. It's what they lose. So instead of killing characters, when I do major blows to them, in order to keep them alive a little bit longer, I will do, and Jason probably knows, there's probably a rule for this in some RPG somewhere. I think it's called damage reduction or something, armor reduction, I don't know. But I will take that damage out on their equipment in a major way. And so what that does is if I hit them, if I roll, and this is another reason I'm a big proponent of screens. If I roll a natural 20 or even just a good hit and do 8 points of damage to that second level character, I know I'm now into a very, very risky zone of killing them because they don't have many hit points. And people like Matt, who sits at my table, he won't tell me how many hit points he has because he doesn't want that risk taken away, right? He wants to know that he can die. He doesn't want to play this game where I'm going to live every game. He wants to know there's risk. And if he knows that if I know he's got 4 hit points left, I'm going to pull a punch or I might pull a punch. But he won't even tell me his hit points. So to kind of counteract that and counteract the idea of killing characters is to utterly destroy their equipment. And I do it a lot. Swords break, helmets break, armor gets destroyed, backpack straps get torn off. And I'll do things like, and this is what I do a lot, instead of a lot of damage, older Magnus, you know, he's fun to run. Do not get me wrong, I love running Mag at the table, but he throws lots of challenges my way, which is great. But I'll do things like the blow strikes the helmet, you take a point of damage, but it twists the helmet just enough that it blocks the vision in your left eye, and now, that was my right eye, but it blocks the vision in your right eye, and now you get a -1 on your swing. So they've taken damage, they've taken critical damage, they've suffered from the combat, but you're not that close to killing them. It's one of the reasons that I strongly emphasize making your players at the beginning of play take a little time and equip their character properly. Write it all down. because they don't have it written down, and if they're making it up as they go along, you can't deflect that damage against them. You can't do that extra little stuff to them to keep them alive. So that's probably the biggest trick I do to keep players alive, is I direct the fury of the dice toward their equipment or toward their attributes. I will wound them in ways that give them, so let's say I roll a natural 20 and I do 14 points of damage and that just killed the character. Well, I'm not going to do that. If they're super pumped on this character, I'm not just going to slime the character. So they get hit, and they take 3 points of damage, and now you got a permanent limp until you have a restore spell. Well, they're not going to get a restore spell until 3rd level, I don't know, 5th level, whatever. So now that, I think Matt actually has a limp right now, and they haven't been able to restore it, and he's got a -10 on his movement rate. He can only move 20 as opposed to 30. And so really deflecting that damage that you do to the players is a great way of keeping the tension going and keeping, and still they suffer for the wrath of the dice for the lack of anything else. And so that would probably be my biggest approach to keeping them alive. Let's see, where was that? There we go. Don't try. It's on the players to keep their characters alive. It sounds harsh, but it's true. Don't go out of your way to kill them off. Don't unreasonably pull punches either. So now Jason has a different way of approaching that. And so keep that in mind when Jason's running the game that you're in. Davis is the same way. Davis does not deflect damage. If he's running the game and you take 12 points of damage, you're dead. He doesn't pull any punches. I will definitely do that to shift it. Now, to kind of build on that point, your character's faded, And I think I've told this story before. I hate telling this story. It's horrible. It happened to Todd, the nicest person at our table. He, in AD&D way back in the day, he actually rolled an 18 00 strength for his fighter. Now, I think in the 35, 40-odd years I've been gaming, I've seen that done twice. Todd was one of them. He was 2nd level, swimming a river, and he rolled a 1 on his swim check. So I had him roll again. He rolled like a 2. I had him roll again. Rolled a 1. I had him roll again. He rolled like a 4. I said, all right, Todd, I'm sorry. I did everything I could to keep you alive. The first current took it. The first roll took him deep into the current. The second one put him 300 feet down the river. Third one back underwater. Fourth one further down. And on the fourth spell, I was like, Todd, someone somewhere is saying that your fighter needs to die. And it still is a sore point with poor Todd. So, thanks for joining us, Darklight, even if it's for a few minutes. I'm good. We're going to move here. There were the things we could find as people left behind was empty. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but, well, you know the story. The hardest part I had at that theater, kid would come in, this would have been 80, I don't know when this was. No, post-art. It doesn't matter. Kid would come in with just they'd get their ticket and have like $3 left over, and popcorn was like $4, and, a little box of candy was $2. So I probably should have been fired because I'd sell a box of candy for $1 and stuff like that. I probably should have been fired, but kids were just trying to watch a movie, man. That's a great way to handle it. Thanks, a great way. Try it. Really, equipment is one of my major things to do. I love even magical stuff. I do it all the time. It's a way to deflect without splattering people. Screen save players, absolutely 42. I've heard a lot of people kind of badmouth screens in the last few years. Been many games have rolled hot, crits and constant hits. Yep. Pull the punches to make the story close and feel more real. That's it. That's what the screens allow you to do. Once you lay those screens down, you've lost control of the story. The story now is owned by the dice. You're going to tell that story, but the dice are really going to play that story out. And the storyteller, if that's the type of game, if you want to do the mechanics-driven, that's fantastic. Good. But if you're like me and you're kind of a story-driven, and all of my players are story-driven, you don't want the dice. You don't want the dice making up all of that story arc, because you're going to lose. Eventually, gamblers lose, right? That's the whole thing behind the casino. The gamblers, even if they have a winning streak, eventually they're going to lose. Definitely, I think it's the only GM trick of the trade where I did a full essay on one trick of the trade, and that was screen. I'm just an absolutely huge proponent of tricks of screen. I play like Mac. I don't want my character to die, but I do like it when they struggle and overcome. If my ranger takes a serious beating, we can come back stronger. It's very rewarding. I'm the same way. Now, I frequently die. I too often die. And Mac does too. Of the players at our table, he's 14th level now, but he's probably died 6 or 7 times. Todd's died once. Mac will die. Of course, once you get to 5th level, the dying is a little bit easier to manage because they can resurrect you more realistically, more reasonably. I'm all over the challenge and keeping it going. Someone once said DMs roll dice just for the sound. Sometimes you do, absolutely. You've got, it's the story that you really want to come about. But dice can be deadly. They can be very, very deadly. It's one reason Davis, as hard as a DM as he is, because he doesn't pull punches, as hard as a DM as he is, he won't do crits. He won't let you do crits. Your 1 is just a miss. Your 20 is just a hit. Because, as he will explain to you, if you're two players fighting 8 orcs, there's a much greater chance of them rolling a critical hit than you, and a much greater chance of you dying. So he won't allow crits. So there's a little bit of balance there. What about when they do something really stupid? For instance, multiple jumping off the cliff 2 bricks to land on a dragon. Yeah, then they just die. If the players go, if they're trying for an epic moment, I'll give them a better chance. But if they're just doing stupid stuff, they're just going to die. Maybe. I mean, if the dice go against them. And that's frequently, it happens more often at first level than it does at higher level, because you just can't sustain the damage. But when they do that crazy shit, and I think the most poignant example from my table, Mac was running the game. There was this giant holding us all up on a bridge, and we were trying to hack our way through the giant and couldn't get it, and Davis got on the rail of the bridge, and his character was going to run and jump, and there's a gorge underneath it, jump from the edge of the rail across the little piece of the gorge to get behind the giant. He rolled a 1, he plummeted to his death, and he died. So when there's things like that, there's nothing you can do. The characters are just dead. And that's really, at the game I'm running now, they went through about 6 or 7 characters before they settled in. And there was just deaths. I know one drowned trying to cross the Miss Thing. There was just some deaths that they couldn't deal with. But yeah, sometimes they just die. And that's, I think high level, the worst example, they slew a white dragon. This was years ago, but they slew a white dragon, and Mark wanted to do that Dragon Slayer thing where his character goes and puts the sword in the dead dragon's chest, and everyone was screaming at him not to do it. He did it anyway. The dragon wasn't dead, and then breathed on him. It was an ancient white dragon and killed his character immediately. So he died. I mean, it's just sometimes they're going to die. Let's see, Jason. Well, now wait. I said I don't unreasonably. Yeah, yeah, we know, Jason. We know you're just slaughtering characters because you're a storyteller and you're building it as you go. I will fudge dice rolls and modify monster stats if things are going against the players through no fault of their own. But if the players acting stupid, that's on me. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you, Jason. If they keep doing stupid shit, they're just going to die. And the reverse of this is true. The reverse of this is also true. I will fudge dice for the monsters as well. I think the most poignant example of that, I went through a long period, and I'm still not 100% certain I've gotten out of this. I went through a long period of not being able to adjust to a high-level game. And that's the game I'm running now in CNC. Once the game hit about 12th level, the amount of damage that the players were doing per round was extraordinary. And they were cutting through my monsters insanely fast. About the 3rd time they did this, it was beginning to concern me that there's not a lot in the book that I can throw at them that's going to be challenging for them, that's going to be even remotely fun. So I very, very quietly just gave one of the monsters, it didn't have this ability normally, I don't know what it was a hill giant, who the heck knows what it was. I gave it a 75% damage reduction, so that every time they hit it, they did 25% of the damage. But they had no idea. It still wounded the creature. If they did 10 points of damage, I marked down 3. And it started with like 110 hit points or something. When they had done over 300 points of damage, and no one at my table openly counts. Nobody counts that damage. They know that's one of the few things that infuriates me as a game master. I will go ballistic if someone. I won't go ballistic, but I'll kill your character if someone says, "I've done 14 damage to that orc. It should be dead." All gloves are off now. So no one was counting, but everyone knew that they were way beyond the pale. And what was cool about it is they shifted their battle tactics. They were actually very close to killing it, but they assumed their blows were doing no damage, and they shifted their battle tactics into using more magic against it. It was very, very cool, and it was kind of that moment that I realized that the importance of not only pulling punches when players are involved, but also shifting the dice against the players to make the game more challenging. Because at the end of the day, if you're not being challenged, it's okay. It's sort of fun. It's sort of watching a rerun of a TV show. You know how it's going to end. When you first watch The Walking Dead, you don't know if these guys are going to live. You really don't. Or wait, what's the other one? Game of Thrones. You have no idea who's going to live. But when you've watched it once and you go back, you know it's going to live. It's not as dramatic. So as soon as the players get to a point where that risk of death or that risk of challenge is away, it's going to be less fun. So fudge the dice in the other direction as well, without a doubt. There's a difference between the encounter's going badly and no, Steve. You can't just stab a sleeper dragon. Yeah, exactly. You're right. Dead on, Jason. Damage agreement makes them use their gold for new gear, etc. Those are new opportunities for role-playing, increasing imagination, etc. Ultra Magnus, that is spot on. It's one of the other challenges that I have. They get so much gold from slaying the Chimera. They've got equipment. What do they spend this stuff on? They've got nowhere to spend this gold. And they end up with a gazillion amounts of gold. It makes no sense. You destroy equipment, you got it. They're going to have to spend it on new plate mail, new swords. And if they have to do that every game, you'll cut through that gold pretty good. I never run without a screen, and online I roll hidden rolls most of the time. Absolutely. I'm just not a big fan, like you guys know. I don't want the rolls out there. It's just not. I can't control the story, and I don't like mechanics. When you read any of the CNC material, all the mechanics are Mac and Davis. But those kind of how-tos are me, and if you go into the player's handbook, specifically in the back, there's a section called The Tyranny of Rules. I wrote that, and it's really just a treatise on why not to use rules. And dice are basically that driving mechanic, right? And I don't like them to control my game. Yeah, I've been redoing my crit charts with equipment damage, but my players are even under the thumb of 10 situations. Yes, it's destroyed equipment, without a doubt. Excuse me. Do you play around with XP to help players advance it a bit faster? Green Lantern sometimes. You get, that's part of where the games, all of these games a little bit break apart is experience point acquisition at high level. Because you can kill so many, giants, and it's just not. You're getting 1,800 points a giant, so you need 250,000 humans. You got to kill so many giants. You're going to depopulate the world with giants. So I'll nudge it. I'll give experience points for role playing. I'll give experience points for good ideas. I give experience for all kinds of stuff. Anything to kind of push that forward. And a few years ago, I really even stopped adding up what each monster is worth. I just kind of estimate. They fought these 4 monsters in these 4 different, games. They get 50,000 and just roll with it. And I kind of base it loosely off of where they are and what they need going forward. I'm really fast and easy with these. Probably to my players' chagrin. If someone dies and they bring a new player into the game, how do you deal with a level? You bring them in at the same level as the party. I never do. And the reason I always bring them in about 2 levels below where the party is. And the 2 reasons for that is you don't want to bring them in at first level. You can, but the casualty rate is huge if the party's 10th level. And that players, if they're any kind of spellcaster, they're going to be bored off of their skull because they're going to cast their one spell and do nothing and move on. So I bring them in at 2 levels below. And the reason I bring them at 2 levels below is I want them to pay a little bit to get to where the other people are, so that there's a little bit of background. Okay, we're running out of time here. Man, this is a quick one. We did it longer, and it's quicker. I usually have a new character. So we're going to raid here in about 5 minutes. I usually have a new character start at current level -1. There you go. That's Davis's approach to it, without a doubt. Let's see. I've been known when my players are just walking on a moss. You just let it survive around you. Yeah, exactly. I'm right there with you, Jason. Actually, the way I stopped that hit point counting way back in the day, when we had just started playing together, they hit this orc and did like 9 points of damage and said, "Your orc's dead." So I gave it an extra hit point and extra few hit points, and then they ended up going on until it had over 80 hit points. And when they quit saying your orc is dead, and as soon as they quit saying it, the orc died. So it kind of set the tone for I don't really like that. I've been known when my players are just wallowing. Yeah, absolutely. I like to put things back in the player's hand in critical moments. I might let them roll a dice. I might let them roll a dice to decide if monster uses rechargeability against them if I think they could kill him. For instance, roll a d12 if you're looking for a 6 or higher roll. Oh, that's very cool. That's interesting. Yeah, I like that. I like anything actually that kind of re-engages the players in the fate that are coming forward. Everyone dies. That whole heavy metal scene. He dies, she dies, everyone dies. In the Den episode, man, I've watched too many movies. Okay, so great tips. All right, so we're going to have to wind down here quickly. Not all characters have the same hit points, same guns as goblins, like all have hit points from monsters. Yep. I do the same regarding hit points. Experience points is big for me. Makes the players remember they are playing. Yeah, they got to earn it, man. I gave up tracking HP. I'm a big fan of milestones to keep good flow in the game and make my life easier to DM. Both of those are very important points. Making the life easier to DM is hugely important because some of these games are complicated, and when it's higher level, it just gets kind of absolutely crazy. I really like playing a character, so getting rewarding for it is like icing on the cake. Yeah, I do too, and I love it to be challenging. It really needs to be challenging. Thanks for being saying. Thank you, Agrippa, for showing up. Sure appreciate it. We are going to be wandering off here in just a minute to do a raid. If you have not already, give us a follow and check out all the events at Kobold Con. We'll be running all weekend. Give them a follow too, please. And thank you all for showing up. I love this GM Tricks of the Trade. It's always a lot of fun, and I love hearing you guys' ideas. It feeds my own imagination to that too. That's great too. Yeah. If she dies, you die. I love that scene because he's sitting there on the throne so, I don't know, nonchalantly, and he's this tiny little skinny guy in a toga. I just absolutely love it. Yes, I need to watch Heavy Metal again. I haven't watched that in forever. It's got Debo in it. You can't go wrong with Debo. Are you rerunning your game from this morning? I am not, actually. I am caught up this weekend. I will be back Sunday at 11 with Luke Gygax and Elisa Faden. We're going to be touching out of the world of air. I thought that was the Gaxmore map. We're going to be discussing Gaxmore on Sunday, so join us then. But Chuck's running the game, I think, in the morning, so definitely check Chuck's out. And we do this GM Tricks of the Trade every week. We will be back next Thursday at 8. Please join us, and then I have an Ask Me Anything on Tuesday at 4. We've got a World Animal at 1. Chuck runs games here, and we'll keep building this Twitch channel. Please, absolutely, everybody, join us whenever you can. We love the company, and I love this. I love watching the world change, and we're a part of it. We're just doing our thing, and that's kind of cool. Definitely check them out. It's a lot of fun, and check us out next week. Chuck is going to suddenly tell me to stop streaming, and when he does so, I will be gone. But he will hurl you all through the magic of the internet to Reaper's stream. Oh, he just told me that. So everybody, you have a great weekend. Enjoy Kobold Con, and we will talk to you next Tuesday. Thank you all.